Hello, guys, and welcome to another episode of Latino World Travelers Virtual Travel Party. I am super excited today because we have with us Amanda from Written Ritmos, and she's going to talk to us about Switzerland. Welcome, Amanda.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Thank you. And tell us, the pictures that you share with us, where was it taken?
So I'll definitely be talking about where that was, but it was actually really close to where we were staying in Switzerland. It's a place called Harderkum, and it's just right by where our hostel was that we were staying in, and it had the most amazing views.
And where is that? In what part of the country? The
So
northern
that's
area?
so that's in Interlaken, and I sent you a little bit of kind of like a screen. I wanted to do a little intro, if that's okay.
Absolutely.
So before we dive into all of that, I wanted to show you my family because this is who we are. I'm the mother of two little monkeys. This is our little crew. This is Mayana, my 1-year-old, and Nico, he's 3. Oh, thank you. Yeah, I think they're beautiful too, but I'm not biased. And then my husband, Brian. So this is our family. We love adventure. I'm always known for having crazy ideas, and I've always been obsessed with traveling, so I always drag my family along with me. But I started a YouTube channel to document all of our adventures, and it's called Written Ritmos, like Vanessa mentioned. And you can show on the next screen, you can see how to find us on YouTube. Just hit that red subscribe button if you want to follow along all of our crazy adventures. The first season we did was all about a lot of international travel and things like that. Now we're in season 2 where we're doing a crazy adventure of RVing and visiting national parks in the US and all of that crazy stuff. So that's been really fun. But yeah, I went to Switzerland in 2017 with my sister. And actually what happened was she had called me, and she and I were talking one day, and she said, I have like 15 days that I can get off of work and let's go on this trip. So we picked 5 countries. You can see here, we just picked our 5 countries that we really wanted to visit. So we flew, first we went to Ireland. From Ireland, we went to England. From England, we went to Morocco and visited the Blue City. And from there, we went to Spain. And then our trip ended in Switzerland. So that was our crazy 5 countries in 15 days trip.
That looks
And
like
we ended
a
in
fabulous
Switzerland.
trip. I want to follow that route now.
You definitely can. I put videos of all of our travels to each of these places on our YouTube channel. So if you want to check those out, definitely do. It was an adventure for sure. But yeah, our last leg was Switzerland, and it was a perfect way to end an amazing trip because Switzerland is unreal. So this is the crew that we traveled with. So it was me, and you can see that my husband, he actually couldn't take off that many days of work. So he met us in Spain for the last portion of the trip. So he came out later. So I traveled out alone with my little baby, and I met my grandma and my sister in Ireland. So he came out a little later. Yeah, it was kind of crazy.
It was completely different kinds of countries with completely different kinds of crews. By yourself with your baby, then with your husband, with your grandma. Wow, that's so fascinating. I love it.
Crazy, yeah. So well, my baby and I flew to Ireland, and then in Ireland, the first country we visited, I met up with my grandma and my sister. So then we were kind of the core crew, and you can see my abuelita. We took a picture of her too. Oh, that's my sister. We call her La Chiquita. And this was all her idea, so thanks for her. And then there's my abuelita. She heard we were planning the trip, and she wanted to tag along. So we said, sure, come along. Why not?
Yeah.
So yeah, that was the crew, and it was a pretty crazy adventure. So when we got to Zurich, we flew in to Switzerland, got to Zurich, and we trained down to Interlaken. You can see on the map, it's in between 2 of the most insanely beautiful lakes that you'll have ever seen. The water is just crazy beautiful. But Interlaken is where we decided to go out of all of Switzerland. When we were doing our research, it just kept coming up, and it was known as the adventure capital of Switzerland. And, you know, obviously I was drawn to that because we love adventure. I wanted to go zip lining and skywalking and skydiving and all the things. So Interlaken seemed perfect for us. But you can see those lines that go up the mountains and they wind everywhere. Those are all train routes. A lot of the little villages up there in the mountains are actually carless villages. They don't even have cars. People just train in and out, and that's just the main way of transportation. So it's really interesting, really beautiful. We would always joke that Switzerland is just a postcard country because you can't look anywhere without feeling like you're looking at a postcard. It's all just so beautiful. It's insane.
Wow. It looks surreal sometimes. Now, you
Yeah.
say everything is by train. How much is the cost of the trains usually? Is it like very expensive or actually it's cheaper?
You know, it's not that expensive. I don't remember exactly, but it was very affordable. And I mean, I think they make it that way because a lot of people mainly travel via train. I mean, and it's not only train. You could definitely do other means of transportation as well, but it is the main way that people get around.
Mhm.
So here is a shot from the first thing that we did when we got to Interlaken. We stayed at a hostel. Now, I've heard a lot of people have different opinions about hostels. I love hostels. A lot of people think they're mainly for single people,
Mhm.
but really, it's actually, I feel like they're becoming more family friendly. The one we stayed at was called Youth Hostel Interlaken, and it had a pack and play that our little one stayed in. It had in the food area, it had a bunch of toys for kids. It was very family friendly. We had a private room that we all shared. It had bunk beds and two other beds, so we fit in there nice and comfortably. So it
Mhm.
was a great place to stay. And my favorite thing about it was that it was steps away from what is called Harder Kulm, which is where I told you we took that photo. And this is
Yeah.
another photo taken from that same thing. So basically, you get in it's like a little train, a tram that goes up the steep mountain. And then after you get off the train, you walk up a little ways and you just have these incredible views.
Wow. And that is by a hostel. You will never think hostels will have such a view.
Exactly. And yeah, this hostel was like next level. The food that they had there was insane. So aside from going to Harderkulm, what we decided to do, we actually had not the best weather there, which I was bummed about because they canceled my skydiving trip and I was on the verge of tears.
When did you go
But
again? In 2017? What month?
yep, in September.
September. Okay.
Yeah, which we had heard the weather wasn't that bad. And honestly, it really wasn't. But I think with skydiving, you just kind of have to have really good weather. No, they don't want to take any chances, you know? So instead of skydiving, we decided to go find other adventurous things to do. And they had this new attraction called the First Glider. And that's us after we got off of it. We're feeling pretty high in life and we're pretty excited. But it was really fun. You basically are just gliding through the mountains and just enjoying feeling like you're flying. So
Yes.
it's awesome.
Wow. And the baby stayed with your grandma, I'm assuming.
Yep. And actually, it worked out really good because Abuelita would sometimes get tired and need to rest. And it usually was around the time that baby needed to nap, anyways. So it worked out really good. And then we would go off and do these crazy things. And then we'd come back and all eat together or, you know, go strolling
Oh,
on the streets or things like that. So it
that
was
is
really good.
perfect.
Yeah.
And where is
So
this
this,
picture?
yep, this is called Beatus Caves. Um, it's actually, this is at the top of like the walkway that has a lot of switchbacks that go up these beautiful waterfalls. And then when you get to the top, it has a restaurant up there. And this is actually an entrance to the caves, but we didn't have time to go into the caves. I think this was on our last day and we had to hurry back. So we missed getting actually to go into the caves, but the views from up there were amazing. The waterfalls on the way up were breathtaking. So it was still very much worth it.
Mm, yeah, these are the
Yeah, I love
waterfalls,
caves
right?
too. Yeah, yeah, I think I have that's the picture of the waterfalls, a few of them. They were just all the way down and it was just so insane, so pretty. And this is another one from the top of Harder Kulm. So this is just that viewpoint. Oh no, wait, I'm sorry. This is actually, no, we didn't get inside the water. It was way too cold. Someone asked, did you get inside the water at all? And no, we were too chicken for that.
She's
But
adventurous,
this
but
is,
not that adventurous.
I'm adventurous, but I get cold so easy. And plus, when I have a baby with me, I mean, it's a little different.
Yes, yes.
But this is actually when we went skywalking. So this was probably one of the most amazing parts of our trip. You go up to the peak of the mountain is called the first. So you go up, you train up to the first, and then what we did next was we got on these little like ski lift like gondolas that take you even further up the mountain. And then when you get up there, you go to what's called the skywalk. And they have these walkways that are literally built into the side of the mountain. And you can see through the bottom of these walkways and it just drops. And you just see way down. Yeah, it's insane. And you're just looking down and you're just feeling very grateful that there's something under your feet, but you're actually dodging under rocks and around the rocks. And if you watch the video on my YouTube channel, you'll see it's crazy. It's an amazing walkway. And yeah, it's insane. And then they have it built out at the end where it feels like you're walking off into heaven almost. You're just like walking up towards
Oh,
the
God.
mountains. And then that's where everyone takes pictures, is right up there on that edge. And you just feel like you're in the middle of the Swiss Alps. It's a crazy feeling.
Oh my God. I can only imagine. Lisandra said, I will be screaming.
Yeah, it was pretty crazy. I mean, it's a your stomach is like, but it's so fun. It's so amazing and such a breathtaking view to feel like you're just in the middle of the mountains. And then when you get up to the top, there's a little restaurant and it has food and hot chocolate. We got hot chocolate everywhere we went because we were in Switzerland. Why would you
Mhm.
not? But
Yes. Did they say if in the summer it actually gets warm or it stay cold because you're all the way up there?
yeah, I mean, the sun shines more, so I'm sure it feels warmer. The day that we were there, it was actually pretty windy. And I think if the wind hadn't been blowing, I don't think it would have been that cold. It was just the wind chill that was making it a little more chilly than what we thought it would be. Because everything we had read said the weather actually wasn't that bad in September. We just happened to have a little bit of bad weather luck. But I didn't really mind it. It didn't really seem to put a damper on any of it for us.
Yes. As long as you have layers, that's all
Yeah,
that matters.
exactly. We were the kings and queens of layers. You can see I have I had a shirt, and then you can see I have like a black long sleeve shirt, and then a jacket over that, and then a scarf over that. So yeah, we were definitely mastering the art of layers.
Mhm. Very, very nice. Now, this is still the same view from up there?
Yep. So that's the same one. That's from the skywalking trip that we did. So, and actually, oh yeah, everyone's so friendly. Someone asked if the locals are friendly. Everyone is so friendly. And really, I mean, there are tons of tourists. I don't know how many locals we actually met, probably just a few at like the restaurants. But yeah, it was really great and not a ton of language barriers. Most people spoke English. We loved the accent that everyone had, the Swiss accent, but most people spoke English. That seemed very common. A lot of the signs were in English, and so it wasn't a challenge with the language. But yeah, that's a good question. Yeah, and that's at Harder Kulm, so that's the one that's right by our hostel. And one thing that
Harder
I
cool.
don't have, yeah, Harder Kulm, it's HARDERKULM. I could be
Okay.
pronouncing it wrong. I don't know.
Okay.
But one thing I actually didn't include any pictures of, I should have. But one of my favorite things also that we did when we went up to the first, we rode up the little gondolas up to the top of the mountain. And then my husband and I decided to take these little go-kart things down the mountain. And it was, oh my goodness, so much fun. Like, I can't even tell you. Again, you'll have to go watch the video because I have footage of us cruising down the Swiss Alps in these little go-karts. It was so much fun. But yeah, that was a really fun activity that we did.
Were you together with him, or each person has to go individually in the go-kart?
Each of us had our own go-kart, and we were like trying to run each other off the road and just, like playing bumper cars.
What equipment do you use to record a video?
I'm very unprofessional. I just use my phone because as a mom, it's hard to juggle a baby and a nice camera in another hand. So it's just a lot easier if I have a minute or I have something I want to whip out my phone from my back pocket. That's a lot easier than carrying around a big fancy camera. So we just used most of this, I think, is our phone. I did have a nice camera. Every once in a while we'd take a few pictures with, but usually just my phone.
And you were able to hold the go-kart and at the same time hold the phone to take the video. Is that safe?
Yes, don't recommend it. Obviously, I don't put me on the record as recommending that. But yeah, we did. I mean, obviously we weren't going super fast when we were recording, but yeah, there's a little bit of footage of us, and I recorded my husband, he recorded a little bit of me. So, and then most of the time we just were riding. We didn't record the whole time, of course, but yeah, not the safest probably.
And this is your sister again.
Yeah, there's La Chiquita. She was in heaven. And that's me and my abuelita.
And she is adventurous like you too, right?
Oh my goodness. Well, I don't know if she knew what she was signing up for. I mean, she heard we were going on this trip and she was kind of going through a hard time, and she was like, I just need to get away. And she said, can I come with you? And of course we were like, yeah, come. But I don't know if we really shared with her all the things we were planning on doing. So I think when she got there, she was just kind of like, you guys are crazy. But again, like I said, with the baby, it worked out because a lot of times she'd be like, I don't really want to do that activity. I think I'll stay at the hostel with the baby and just play and relax. And so it worked out well in the end. But I think she was kind of like, what did I just sign up for?
Crazy.
Oh, these are more of the waterfalls at the Bliss caves. They were so beautiful.
You have views for days, like they say.
Seriously, views for days. It's the postcard country. Like, you cannot look somewhere and not feel like this is the perfect shot. This is just insane. And I feel like pictures don't even do it justice either. When you're there in person, it's just next level.
And how is the air? Do you feel that it's thick because you're up there? Or do you feel that it's actually super fresh because you're surrounded by greenery?
Oh my goodness, super fresh. Yeah, if I could bottle up that air, you could make millions by selling it. It's like delicious air.
Oh. And then you come back to the States and it's like, what happened? Well, then again, they don't have cars, so the pollution levels are also low, I'm assuming, because of that.
Yeah, and just so high up, you're so high up in the mountains that it's just, the higher you go, the more crisp and clean it feels. Definitely.
Wow.
And there's me and my querido. Those are the gondolas. Again, see, everywhere you look, it's just, I swear, it's like everyone in Switzerland got together one day and said, hey, make sure your house looks perfect all the time. And they do.
Oh my God, so pretty. And this is by the caves, right?
Yep, those are the Bliss caves. They're just so beautiful. The waterfalls were unreal. So those are just some pictures. And again, I did want to share some video clips, but I didn't get those uploaded in time. But if you have a minute, go check out my video because it shows all of it and it's just insane. But yeah, the map is a good
these
view.
are the red dots are the places where you stopped?
Yeah, well, those are stations. So this is actually a map that we used to find our way around.
Mm-hmm.
And we stayed, you can see in the middle of the two lakes, that's where Interlaken is. That's where the hostel was. And then the red routes, those are the train routes.
Yeah.
And then you could go either one way or the other. Like I said, we had a little bit of bad weather and we wanted to go up to the very top.
Mm-hmm.
But what was really nice, while we were staying in the hostel, they had a TV screen in the lobby that showed a camera of the view from the very top of the highest mountain, the highest peak you see there, which was really nice because then you don't spend your entire day traveling up there and realize, oh, this weather's terrible, we can't see anything. So while we
Mm-hmm.
were there, it was just showing just kind of wide out. It was just very poor weather up there, and we decided, oh, we don't really want to go up there and take the baby up there and be
Mm-hmm.
freezing and not really see anything. So that's when we decided to go to the far left. You'll see where the first is, and that's
Yes,
where we ended up
I
going.
see
We
it
spent
right
most of
here.
our time over there. Yeah.
Okay. But you could go all the way up, right?
Yep.
If you
Yep.
wanted to, if the weather was good.
Yeah, our plan was to make it up there, but we just didn't quite make it up there. Next time.
Mm-hmm. Very cool. Did you go skiing? Did they have that as an option in September?
You know what? We didn't go skiing. I've actually never been skiing, but that's on my bucket list. But
And can
yeah,
you
I
go
would have to
on
check
the
it out.
lakes? Can you get on the lakes and like take a boat, or they're just for people to
Yeah,
use them?
you can take a boat on the lake. We didn't really look into that, but we saw boats while we were there, so I'm assuming there's options for that. I'm sure you could do that. That's not something we did while we were there, but I'm sure it's something you could do.
Mhm. How was the food?
Oh, I'm so glad you asked. So I'm not a foodie. I'll eat like pretty much anything. I'm not picky, but two words for Switzerland: chocolate and cheese. They are
Mm.
masters. They are masters. So we went to this place and we did the fondue cheese, and it was the Swiss cheese, and more delicious cheese I have never tasted. It was so good. Like,
What was the name of the place?
really good.
Do you remember?
I don't I don't remember. That's a good question. I should have looked that up. But it was within walking distance of our hostel. So it was
Okay.
just down the street. And actually it was kind of a plan B because the place we were planning on going to was closed for some reason. So we just kept walking, and there's restaurants all along in the downtown area of Interlaken, and you could stop and get fondue cheese anywhere at any one of them. And chocolate too. Like everywhere you go, every shop has chocolate. We ate so much chocolate while we were there, but it was good.
She said, "Oh, I have bad news for Daisy because she's allergic to chocolate. So
Oh
if she goes
no.
there,
Well, then eat the cheese.
eat the cheese exactly." But in
Yeah.
general, the food over there is good. And what kind of food is it
You
besides the
know,
chocolate and cheese?
yeah, the real food, the actual like food. It's actually a kind of a melting pot of a lot of different cultures. So while we were there, we had a lot of different things. We actually ate at like an Indian restaurant one time, and just like it has a lot of different things. The hostel we stayed at had a delicious restaurant in the main level in the lobby, and we ate there a lot, and they had kind of everything. We did a stir fry a lot of times. They had fresh vegetables and a lot of really fresh ingredients. So I mean, it was kind of a mix of a lot of different things, which I felt
Mhm.
like was not what I expected in Switzerland. So it's kind of cool to find out.
Yes. But overall, like no one got sick because of the food or anything. Oh, that's good.
No,
When you have
nobody.
a
Yeah,
trip and you don't get sick, that's the best.
yes, I agree. I agree. And that wasn't the case in all of the countries. I'll say that much, because we did get some stomach aches in other countries that we visited on this trip, but Switzerland, not at all. Everything just felt so clean. Like
Mhm.
everything we saw, everything we ate, the air we breathed, like Switzerland is just clean. That's a good word
Mhm.
to describe it.
Yes. Did you feel a little bit dizzy because of the altitude?
I didn't, but I don't know if you do suffer from vertigo and like if you're scared of heights, maybe you would. So, because we were really high in a lot of places, especially the skywalk. I mean, I got like some little butterflies in my stomach at that point, but I wouldn't say like getting nausea or dizziness or anything like that. Not really. I think that was a blessing too, because we did go pretty high in the trains. Like when you're going up, you start to feel your ears pop and things like that, but it wasn't like we got sick from it.
Okay, very, very cool. Did you guys have any questions about Switzerland? Oh my God, I'm so excited of going now.
You should definitely go.
How many days would you recommend someone spends there? Like how many days is like, oh, good, you were able to experience most of it, and
As many days as you want. You could not run out of things to explore. And actually, we were really bummed that we only had a few days because we really only went to like the Interlaken region, but we could have gone so many other places, like on the way down, Lucerne and a lot of the little villages. Like Lucerne is known for having a bunch of beautiful murals on their buildings, and we saw briefly some of those just in passing. But I mean, you could spend days and days doing all sorts of things, like as long as you want and as long as you have. That's what I recommend.
doing the skydiving and sending you a video of it, like, look, I did it.
Yeah, rub it in. No, just kidding.
Someone asked, what language do the people from there speak? I know you said most of them speak English, but
Yeah,
do they encourage people to speak their language, or they're fine?
I feel like not really. Again, very friendly people, very welcoming. It was very touristy. I mean, maybe even not touristy, but just like a melting pot. Like we saw people from all different races and languages all around us. We noticed people speaking all kinds of languages around us. So, and I felt like a lot of people knew multiple languages too, which I thought was really interesting. Oh,
Did
someone
you
asked, do
see
you see a lot of
Latina?
bars? I didn't see a lot of Latinos besides my sister and I, not a ton. And I didn't see a lot of bars, but we don't really drink, so maybe we weren't looking for them.
Yes,
So I'm
yes,
sure they're
yes.
there. Maybe we just didn't go to a lot of bars, but yeah, not a lot of Latinos actually in Switzerland, or at least we didn't run into any.
Yes. And that's why I want to do this, because I want to expose people to these places. Like, look, you went
Yes,
there. I want people to see, if you go there, this is what you're going to experience firsthand from someone who already went. So we could see
yes,
ourselves represented in these spaces.
totally. And I love it. I love what you're doing. I think it's amazing. Oh,
Thank
the
you.
food prices weren't bad. I mean, again, it's depending on where you go. Someone asked, how are the food prices? I mean, you could go, we ate a lot at the hostel because it was reasonably priced. But when we went to get fondue cheese, it was at a really fancy restaurant. And the food was more pricey, but we just got the fondue because we were on a budget. But you can find kind of whatever range you're looking for. Just like in the States, you could find reasonably priced food as well as fancy and expensive restaurants. So a
Mhm.
little bit of everything, just got to find it.
Do you have
But
to make reservations in advance for the restaurants, or you just walk in?
not the ones we went to. On the main street of Interlaken, it's very kind of outdoor friendly as you're walking, or at least when we were there. I'm sure in the winter months, probably not so much, but while we're walking along, you just have all these restaurants whose dining areas kind of extend outside, and you could kind of wander in and out or pick whichever one you wanted to eat. We had our fondue cheese right outside, and it was just, while you're enjoying the beautiful view of the mountains right there. So you didn't really have to make reservations wherever you went. It was kind of just walk up and be seated. But again, in September, I don't think that's peak season for tourism. So it might have just been that we were there when there weren't a lot of people. So
Yes,
we got to remember, if you do travel during peak season, looking to make reservations is always a good idea.
Uh, great. Oh, someone is asking if you're in an RV. she
Yes,
wants
I
to do
am.
she wants to do a cross country trip, which is basically what you're doing, right?
Yes. Yes. So I'm in a different RV than the one that we did our trip in, but you should totally. So we actually renovated the RV that we traveled in. Not this one, a different one. But if you go to my YouTube channel, look up the RV renovation vlog, and you'll see that we just redid the whole thing, made it very homey, and then we just traveled everywhere in it. So RVs are so nice. We spoiler alert, no one on my channel knows this yet, only you guys, but we did get rid of our RV that we renovated, and we're actually working on a new project, which is a Sprinter van. But again, nobody knows this except for you guys, so don't go telling everyone.
We got
But that'll
la
be coming out
primicia,
for
la
season
primicia
3.
we got.
Yeah, that's right. So that's going to be season 3 of our YouTube channel, is our adventures in our Sprinter van. We're actually in the process of building it right now. So
Her
we're kind of
YouTube
crazy. We
channel
have all these
is
crazy ideas.
Written Ritmos. Written Ritmos is her
Yep.
YouTube channel. Oh, it says the Quintana sisters.
She says, promise I won't tell.
Yes.
Yeah, my sister and I are a couple of crazy sisters, crazy girls.
Yes.
But so I did want to tell you this funny story. The last part of our trip in Switzerland ended crazy because we were there during Hurricane Irma when that hit, and a lot of flights were being canceled. Our flight got canceled. So we got this notification while we're getting ready. We're literally packing to go to the airport the next morning, and it's like, hey, your flight's canceled. And we're like, oh, okay. So we're trying to get these people on the phone. We're trying to reschedule flights. It's hard to get anyone on the phone. And like everyone was calling, and it was just insane. We finally got this guy on the phone, and he says, okay, here's what you're gonna do. He told us a number to tell the lady. He's like, go to the airport tomorrow, walk up to the desk, tell them my name, tell them this, your whatever number, and they'll help you. We're like, oh, okay. So we go to the airport, we get there, we try it. They look at us like, that's not gonna help us. Like, we need more information than that. And so we're like, well, is there anything we could do? And they said, literally all flights are getting canceled. Like, we don't know what to tell you. So we were like, well, I guess we're going to be stuck in Switzerland, which, I mean, there's worse places to be stuck. But I mean, we had to get back. My husband and sister had to get back to work and stuff. So we go to this other desk, and we're talking to this other lady, and she's like, she looks at us and she says, there's literally one flight left that's leaving to Orlando. It's literally leaving in like 15 minutes, and it's on the other side of the airport. So she grabs this scratch piece of paper. She writes down 3, like, what are they called? Boarding passes. She scribbles boarding pass numbers on this paper, like a scratch piece of paper. And she says, run. So pobre de mi abuelita. So we're running across the airport.
Who's carrying the baby at this point? Your husband or you?
So no, my husband had the baby, and I'm pulling abuelita. I'm like, abuelita, we have to make this flight. This is our only chance. So I'm like pulling her. My sister's recording because she's laughing, and she's like, we have to remember this. This is all on my video, by the way, if you want to go watch. So we're like just running, and we're like, oh, we're praying. We're like, oh, please. So then we somehow still had to go through security and everything. Somehow we run up right before they're about to close the door, and we're like, wait. And they're like, oh my goodness. They're like, we didn't even know you were coming. We hand them our little like scratch piece of paper. We're like, are they even gonna let us on with this paper? And they're like, yeah, like, come on. I guess they knew like everything was crazy because of the hurricane. I don't know. Anyways, somehow prayers were answered because we made our flight, and that was the epic end to our epic trip.
Wow.
In an epic place. So,
it's definitely an
adventures.
epic ending.
Yeah,
my heart
when
was
you travel,
racing.
anything can happen.
My heart was racing as you were telling the story. I'm like, did they make it? Did they not make it?
Yeah, ours were too. We were like, I don't know. We might be here in Switzerland a little longer than we thought. It was crazy though.
Wow. And what does your grandma say now about that trip?
Oh, she loves it. She's always like, I'm such an adventurous woman. Like, I survived you guys. So, yeah, if you want to know if you're adventurous, come on a trip with us. We'll let you know.
If you survive, you go to level 2.
Exactly. Level up. Oh, crazy.
Excellent. Oh my God. Do you guys have any questions about this trip? The more you tell us, the more excited we get.
Yes, please go to Switzerland. I highly recommend it. Like, and I highly recommend staying at the hostel that we stayed at. It was immaculate. It was very clean. It was perfect. The people there were so kind. Like, food was great. It was very reasonably priced, and the location couldn't be beat. It was right by some amazing, amazing things. So I definitely recommend it.
I've always been a little hesitant of hostels because the
Mhm.
ones that I've went, people were snoring, and I said I don't want to go through that experience again. So, but you had
Yeah.
the whole room for you and your family, so that could work out.
Yes,
Like
a
if
lot
you're
of
traveling with
hostels
a group.
do.
Hmm.
Yeah, well, and a lot of hostels do offer like private rooms. They're obviously a little more expensive, but yeah, I mean, snoring could be tough because I'm a light sleeper too, and if someone was snoring, it'd be like, game over. But
Yes.
yeah, I do recommend hostels if you have earplugs. Just kidding.
Radesi is asking, what is a typical meal? What does a typical meal look like there?
That's a good question. I don't know if we actually had like a typical Swiss meal. That's a good question. We probably just ate way too much chocolate and cheese. Yeah, I don't know. That's a good
Did you get
question
to buy
though.
some to bring home as well?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. We brought lots of chocolate. Not so much cheese. I don't think we brought any cheese, but
Hmm.
we brought some chocolate with us. Had to, of course. But
Yes.
yeah, again, I'm not a foodie. I'm probably the wrong person to ask that question. I'm just a chocolate head.
And then, what do they have a typical drink besides the hot chocolate?
Yeah, again, we didn't drink alcohol, so I saw a lot of like advertisements for like Swiss beer and stuff like that. And I think they have like special breweries and stuff there, but we didn't really visit them. So I'm sure they do, but again, probably not the best person to ask. Sorry.
It's okay. What was your favorite place out of all of the places that you went?
Ooh, I have to pick just one. Let's see. I think skywalking was probably my favorite experience overall because it was thrilling, but it was still something we could all do together. So my abuelita was there, my baby was there, my sister and my husband, and we were just walking in the mountains in Switzerland, and it was just surreal. So that was probably my favorite part. And yeah, I highly recommend that as well. If you go to Interlaken, don't miss out on that part.
Beautiful. Thank you so much. Did you guys have any last minute questions before she goes? Now, do you
Thank
see
I
this picture that I have here? It was just from Google, but if I wanted to take a picture like that, where will I go?
Yeah, you would just go to Interlaken. Literally, that looks like one of the lakes because, like I said, Interlaken's between two of the lakes,
Mhm.
and you can just, I mean, literally everywhere you look, I feel like looks like that. It's just insanely beautiful. But yeah, they have lakes everywhere, and it's just green and beautiful and picturesque, like perfect. But this looks almost like the lake that we were right by. But yeah, Harder Kulm, if you wanted to see the lake from the top, that's where you would want to go to look down and see it. But again, on trains, you can, if you went to Switzerland and only rode trains, your trip would be worth it because you would see lakes like this, you would see beautiful landscape, you would see the chalet style homes everywhere, you would just see it all. So yeah, you would definitely see that in Switzerland anywhere almost, I would say. Not anywhere, but obviously there's lakes everywhere and beautiful scenery everywhere.
Yes. Well, thank you so much, Amanda, for all of these details. You got us super excited now to go to Switzerland. I personally
Oh,
cannot
thank
wait.
you.
I'm like, can this coronavirus please like just finish so
I
I can resume
know.
and visit
I
all of these
know.
countries that we have been
Well,
presenting.
thank you. I wanted to say thank you to you for doing this because it's such a good idea to have like virtual travel. It's almost like you're going, but you're not going, you know, at a time when people feel like, I just want to get out and go, but we can't. So thank you for doing this. I know so many people really appreciate it. So it's a lot. I know it's a lot of work for you, but it's worth it, I think. So thank you for doing what you're doing.
Yes. Well, thank you again, like I said, from the bottom of my heart for saying yes and taking your time from your family and your child. Um, and tomorrow,
Of
guys,
course.
please join us too. We're doing tomorrow Ecuador. We're going to have Cynthia from Buen Viaje con Cynthia. She is going to connect with us straight from Ecuador to tell us everything we need to know about it. Her theme is Ecuador y sus cuatro mundos en un solo país. So I cannot wait to see that one in Ecuador too. It's going to be at 6:30 Eastern time, 3:30 Pacific time. So I hope you can join us tomorrow as well to hear another fantastic virtual party like we had today. Thank you, Amanda, and have a beautiful day.
Thank you. You too. Bye-bye.
Bye.